do today is I'm going to go over first. I've kind of mixed it up slightly in planning this, but I'm going to go over first of all who I am as an artist, the work that I do, and a bit about myself, background. Then I'm going to go over historically, how did Sikhi begin visually? What were the first Sikhi arts? And then as you go through the years, how can you then identify true Sikhi art to stuff that's kind of been broadened? I can go into it, but it's how do we separate Gurmat from artistic expression? So we'll go into Impressionism versus historically accurate art styles. So pictures of Guru Sahib, what makes something historically accurate and what makes something idealized, that they're making it through Shraddha. And then influence in Sikhi art. How does Sikhi art influence fashion, culture, the way we practice Sikhi? Because I actually learned a lot just researching into this about Bhai Rajpal Singh, which we'll go into as well. But it's the fact that everyone who's seen his pictures will know they're very simplified. And that can reflect in the way we practice Sikhi today. So let's start off. So who I am, I'm known as Intrinsikh Arts online. I don't know if any of you are familiar, I know the kids are, familiar with my Instagram page. And a few of the things that I've done over the past few years, I've been really honing into Sikhi art anyways, for about 5 years now. Before that, I was just a youngster watching anime and stuff like that, and reading comics and cartoons or whatever. And I was just drawing that, and I was drawing what I love, superheroes, this, that, and the other. But there was something missing, because my Sikhi was quite prevalent in my teenage years, because I was going through some stuff, and Sikhi helped me through that. And so I thought, how can I then progress with this? Well, I'm doing art as it is now. Let me try something with Sikhi. And that's what started me on the journey. So I've always been into art. I was going to add some stuff in here, but I didn't get time to. But I've always loved drawing, painting, since I've been very young. Through GCSEs, A-levels, I chose art. So I've always been very prevalent in doing this. This sort of art in particular is digital art. So it's actually done on my iPad here. I can go into how I do that later on. So what I do is historically informed art. It's quite dark, the screen, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know about brightness on that. But what I do is I research not just into visually how Guru Sahib, how Shaheed sings, how these people looked, what they dressed like. You got Shastra and stuff in India. They're showing Gurdwara around. They've shown, artifacts of the Gurus, of people from my past. So as much as I can, I research into exactly what the Gurus wore, what Shastra did they wear, at what time in their lives as well. And there's so much out there, khajana of information, Suraj Prakash, these granths that we have that we study from, they've all got descriptions of Guru Sahib as well. So looking into those, I try and make something as accurate as possible. It can never be true, obviously, but I'm trying to really revitalize that historical nature, which is something that we do lack nowadays when you look at the pictures that have existed from our childhoods. And I'll go into a little bit of that now. There's a few more pieces that I do. I'd really recommend, if you wanted to, looking at my Instagram page, you can see I'm a bit clearer than here anyways. But I'll start off. So here's an image of the 10 Guru Sahib. I want you to tell me, I'll interact with the Sangat actually. So this is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, right? This must be Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Now tell me, who is this Guru? Or this one? It's hard to say, isn't it? And that's my whole point, is getting into Sikhi and developing on this path. You should aim to develop a relationship with each Guru Sahib, because they've got something to offer to you. Now, if our imagery looked like this, and we know the generic Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, but no one in between, I feel that was a problem. And even growing up, so I grew up from very young into Guru Sikhi. My parents led me on the path from when I was born, really. I never knew. I didn't have a relationship with anyone but Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and they were just faces to me. A few Sakya here and there, but they were just faces. And the rest of the Guru Sahib look the same, fairly the same. But when you look back historically, I didn't add it in. When you look back historically anyways, which I'll go into, you'll find that we had that discernment between each Guru Sahib. We had historical images of Guru Sahib that are true likenesses. of the Gurus. And I was shocked to find, when I started this path of Sikhi art, was that it's so easy to find these pictures. Just by one search of, for example, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, you'll find their contemporary picture. And what that means is, Guru Sahib is sat there and they've painted Guru Sahib. I couldn't believe it. People still, they get a bit annoyed sometimes that they're not aware of these photos, they've never been aware of them. But these are held in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Swarups from the Guru Sahib's time as well. So, who's seen this image before? You might have. And they often say that this is a true picture of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Have you ever heard that? Well, it's on WhatsApp. You know, my granddad always gets it every now and then. They're like, oh, it's a true likeness of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. This was made during Guru Nanak Dev Ji's time. Well, I'm sorry to say, but this exact one wasn't. And we have a lot of misinformation spread within Sangat spaces, for example, of things like this, of artifacts to say that this is the Guru's artifact or this is this picture. A lot of it has been misrepresented, and dangerously so as well, because you warp our history, you warp what it means to believe what we believe, because you're trying to put a narrative on by saying this is the actual picture of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Now, this is where I'm going to go into historical versus idealized, because this is an idealized image made after the fact. Now, this picture in particular is an amazing find of mine. I can't confirm or not that it is true, but I know that this is the historical picture that the other picture was based off. So this one in particular you can find in Baghdad, which is in Iraq, which is a place where Guru Nanak Dev Ji did travel to. And over there's Farsi inscriptions on the walls around. There's a lot of Sharda for Guru Nanak Dev Ji in that area. Not really that generic Sikhi that we know, because Guru Nanak Dev Ji spread around all over, past India, past Afghanistan, all the way down Bengal, all over. Some people say Italy up to. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji had so much influence that there would have been images of Guru Nanak Dev Ji made. We haven't actually found any true likenesses, and I can't confirm that. But there's so many historical references to what Guru Nanak Dev Ji must have dressed like. There's Gurbani as well that explains that Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when they went to Mecca, there were blue robes. So there is reference that you can make, but historically there haven't been any actual findings of something true likeness. This is probably the closest that you'll get. And so these are the sort of imagery you find. Oh man, wait, what's happened now? Okay. Technical difficulty, 1 minute. Okay, I have to disconnect it and reconnect it. Where's IT Singh? But yeah, whilst that's loading up, because I think it's crashed on the screen, we find that a lot of the images we've grown up with, the Guru Nanak Dev Ji pictures, the Guru Gobind Singh Ji pictures, they give you a very shallow view of what Sikhi is culturally and historically. So we've been through so much. We had so many riches. The Sikh Empire was so grand. We had riches upon riches. During Maharaja Ranjit Singh's time, one British pound was worth, one Punjabi rupee was worth 13 British pounds. Yeah, it was very, very rich. I just need to wait for that to work now. Go in, Atiga. And so, okay, let me try one more time. Hanji. Atiga. Oh, you got straight to HDMI, that's good. Okay, well, you might need to charge it. I'll get it out of my bag if you want. No, not shut down. But whilst we're sorting this out, has anyone here have an interest in art or anything like that? Any painters here? You're all mathematicians, aren't you? Yeah? Acha. Do you enjoy painting and art and stuff like that? It's a really impressive craft to go into. It's something that not everyone can do, because you're expressing something internally. That's what I find is most important about art and the craft behind making it is so important. Is you're getting something from eternal, you know? Oh, there you go. Something's working. Oh, nice, nice, very nice, very nice. So I'm going to mirror the display. Perfect thing. You just need to. Okay. Okay, now we can continue. Hopefully. No more difficulties. You know, have you got a link for the live? I'm going to post it on my page.
I don't deal with this projector, so I'm just trying my best.
Go enough. If it works, if not, then go enough. I can sort something. Sing chala gaya? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That should automatically do it.
If you just keep your hand out of the
Yeah.
frame, maybe
Oh, yeah.
reconnect with another.
Mm.
Huh? Manual का. Where's the pro projector?
Thank you. Thank you, Ji. Right. That's sharp, that is. It's a lot better quality as well. Bear with me for a second. I'm just going to post the live link. फिर आप शुरू कर देंगे. Link. Right, Waheguru Ji. Let's start again. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. So, starting off from where we left off, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, there has been no historically researched pictures of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, but throughout the period of Guru Angad Dev Ji onwards, the Janam Sakhiya were made, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji was illustrated so much, and often they were seen with a yellow robe. You could say Bana, but at the time there were so many different styles, and they would always wear something called a Seli Topi. So that reflected that oneness that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had, where there were no Hindu, away from Hindu mat and away from Musliman di mat. That Guru Sahib was both and neither at the same time, and they reflected that in their clothing. And there's references to always back this up. And so always, Guru Nanak Dev Ji was always shown with Bhai Mardana Ji beside them. And these artworks came from all over India. And that's why you see so many different styles. You'll sometimes see Guru Nanak Dev Ji with the tilak. You'll sometimes not see them with that. You'll see them with so many different types of clothing. And this just reflects that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had so much influence all over India and abroad as well. And so you'll see that in historical arts. And there's so many I could go through. But then you see this beautiful, you know, these beautiful robes, these really deeply sequined. They got beautiful shawls. What they were wearing was always very, very bright and colourful, and reflected that Guru Nanak Dev Ji adapted to where they went. But then you go to the modern day interpretations of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and there's certain questions that I've asked as an artist is, have we lost the essence of Guru Nanak Dev Ji through these modern depictions? Because Guru Nanak Dev Ji is only shown as this one figure now, with a white dari, and they're fairly old as well, and wearing very simple clothes, which doesn't go further than what they were preaching, which is fine. But then as a role model, as our guru, are we depicting Guru Nanak Dev Ji in the modern day as a role model for the youth? Because a lot of people I've grown up with have a lot of, for example, family have often said to me that, Sikhi can be for old people because like Guru Nanak Dev Ji is old. It sounds quite simple and stereotypical, but people believe these things. And so in that way, are we then not embodying what Guru Nanak Dev Ji did? They travelled the world, Guru Nanak Dev Ji did. Is that reflected in what we see in them? Can we see in Guru Nanak Dev Ji's, the modern depictions, can we see that they travelled the world? Can we see compassion on their face? Can we see, it goes very deep, and I can go on. But it's a message of trying to keep that essence of what we had in the past. And I'll go into the other Guru Sahiba now as well. And so we've got modern depictions now. What I've done is, right, I'm going to go into the really historical imagery as you get to past the Guru Sahib period, when you go towards the Sikh Empire, and then to modern day. So these are artists that I'm friends with as well. And we've started to revitalize what was. So the descriptions that we have in stuff like Suraj Prakash, in terms of older imagery that we can reference. And so this is a Benji from London, Simran Kaur Panesar. And this is a Paji from India, Manandeep Singh. And they've really started to bring back the essence of the dastar styles of the time, the kapre styles of the time. They're not trying to match something to this modern day narrative. They're keeping it as it was, so that it's a glimpse back to that time. That's what I feel is important that we need to represent, because to have a culture and then to whitewash it and to make it simplified is dangerous for the long term. So it's to keep this culture going. And here's a few more examples. Bhagat Singh from Canada, and then Simran Penji again. And so this is an image I'm currently working on. It's the first ever real deep depiction I've done of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. This is for the calendar, the Mahalla Nava calendar that comes out every year, of which they get 12 artists for each month to make an artwork to represent an area of Sikhi. So this year we're going down Guru Nanak Dev Ji's first Udasi, which is when they first set out and travelled the world at 37 years old, I believe. And so in this image, as I've explained, I've tried to, with Maharaj the Kirpa, is to really show this experience of Guru Nanak Dev Ji travelling with Bhai Mardana Ji beside them, looking at the world with this awe, saying Vismad. Vismad can translate to that appreciation for the beauty of everything here, because that's all we can do, you know. We can't explain certain things. Maharaj bahut wari kende hai Japji Sahib de vich, "Phir je ko kahe piche pachtahe." That the more you try to explain whatever this reality is, you just bring yourself further into a lost state. So all we can do, our first step, is to praise and to just adore what's around us. And I try my best, anyways, to flow with that through artistic expression, expressing it from internal. What do I see? And how can I share it with others to inspire them to also see in a way that is seeing the world as beautiful? And so we go on to Guru Angad Dev Ji and Guru Amar Das Ji. Now, for the first 5 Guru Sahiba, there aren't any historically accurate images. They just weren't made at that time. That said, they were very close to the time they were made. But once again, there were so many different types of artists making these that they often look very similar, but then they'll often have slight discrepancies. And I don't want to confuse the Sangat in terms of saying that sometimes the Gurus are adorning certain jewelries. And it's not to say that you're allowed to do these things. And I'll go into that a bit deeper later. But because these images were made from different areas, they were made from different cultures, places that the modern day narrative of Gurmat wasn't as apparent. So you might see Guru Sahiba with certain features that you think, how could the Guru be like this? But you'll see the identical image similar to that, where Galt isn't on the image. I wouldn't even call it Galt, I'd just say it's their own expression. And I'll go into that even deeper. Because I've had to go through that myself, where I'm like, is it right? What is this? I had to explain it for myself. And so you'll see this consistent 2D style, like we've already seen with the Guru Nanak Dev Ji pictures, which was an Indian style. So you had Bahari style, the Mughal style, Punjabi, there's many different artists around the areas. When you go to the modern day, you have this Western influence now, where they're going three-dimensional. And now that begs the question of, with that historical style, that is Punjabi, is it Sikh culture? It's a question I'm still asking myself. And should we try to maintain that culture? Because as we go to the modern day, we've got very simplified clothing, where the Guru Sahib aren't shown as these royals. They weren't shown as leaders. Is that a problem or not? It depends on the viewer. But this is an example from a book that I've looked into for research, is that the same image, there's 4 different depictions of the same image, all with different features, because they're from different locations by different types of artists. Now, this is a painting by Sobha Singh. I do like this one a lot, because as an artist, so Sobha Singh, I didn't explain who he was, an artist from the 1900s, really respectable. He's brought art all over the world of Guru Sahiba and other Sakhiya of the time. I really respect him for that. I think the only thing that he has done is he's almost standardized what we should see Guru Sahiba as. So you often see all the way from Guru Nanak Dev Ji onwards, very simple clothing, simple dastara, and very standardized and simplified, where they'll just be wearing white, which works for many people. And it's inspired so many people to get into the path of Sikhi. Having Guru Sahib pictures in their houses for the start, which is beautiful, because before that they had nothing. You came all the way to the UK, you didn't have any Sikhi there. So to have imagery go all around the world was very important at that time. And the only problem is that simplification, because now all we see for the Guru Sahib are those pictures. And for example, with Guru Amar Das Ji, Guru Ram Das Ji, that's fine. But as you go into Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji onwards, you start to lose the essence of what they were. Oh, they got a speaker now. Thank you, Ji. Right, you should be able to hear me better now. Waheguru Ji. So, this is an image I made of Guru Amar Das Ji meeting Guru Angad Dev Ji for the first time. So I'll go in a bit of a Sakhi time now. So Guru Amar Das Ji, before finding their Guru, who was Guru Angad Dev Ji, was leading the path of Hindu Mat, where they were traveling to different Tirth. So they were traveling, they were doing, what's the English word, pilgrimages. And they found no ras in that. They found no joy in that. They didn't find any connection. And one day they were sitting, feeling quite lost. And then they heard the Kirtan sung by Bibi Amroji, who was the daughter-in-law of Guru Angad Dev Ji, I believe. And so Guru Amar Das Ji at the time wasn't the Guru. But they asked Bibi Amroji that, who sang this Kirtan? It's beautiful. Please, sorry, not who sang this, she was singing the Kirtan. Who wrote this Gurbani that you're singing? It's absolutely beautiful. The Guru Sahib was in a state of barag. And so Bibi Amroji then said, look, it's Guru Angad Dev Ji, your Kurum. They were relatives. And so then Guru Amar Das Ji, who wasn't Guru Sahib at the time, they came up to Guru Angad Dev Ji and fell to their feet. And Guru Angad Dev Ji declined. They said, look, you're older than me. I can't allow you to sit at my feet. And Guru Amar Das Ji, in such connection, they found their Guru, said, I'm not moving from here, because Guru Sahib, you're my Guru. Don't see me as someone, as an elder or like your father figure. Don't see me as a Kurum. See me as your Sikh. So, in showcasing that state of Bairag that Guru Sahib was in, I tried to capture that, because I heard a Sakhi. I can't replicate how beautiful the Gatha that I heard was. I could never replicate it. But what I can do is I can express it through an art form. I can show that connection that Guru Sahib had with each other. How can you do that? You can do it through art. You can do it through poetry as well. There's so many different ways to express your feeling that you have from the experience of life, through listening to Gatha, for example, or Kirtan. What comes from internal? That's what I've tried to produce here. And so here's another picture of Guru Amar Das Ji that I've worked on personally. Now, Guru Ram Das Ji, you start to see a few more images coming up now, because this is where the Sodhi lineage started. This is where royalty really started taking a hold for Sikhi. But what I want to very quickly show you is, for example, you'll see images of Guru Sahib sometimes with earrings in. And you'll think, wait, where does the concept of earrings come from in Sikhi? And why would the Guru Sahib be wearing them? It's a question I've asked myself quite a lot as I've researched into this, that did the Guru Sahib actually wear earrings? It's a big question that a lot of people have asked me. And I can confirm and say that personally, I do not believe they wore earrings. That's one thing I've stapled down now. But I believe the idea of Sharda, that people had to make these images, they made them with their full PR, and they put jewels, they adorned them with so many jewels. Not to say that they had those jewels in real life. Artists would often, kind of express what they love about their Guru. And so they would adorn them with as much as they wanted to. And that really depends on the culture of the time and the location they're in. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a true image of Guru Sahib. So it just comes from Sharda, that's the only thing. But in essence, they've made these pictures for their Guru. And you'll often see these images of earrings, with earrings in, from the time of the Sikh Empire, and not necessarily Puratan or contemporary to the time of the Guru Sahib. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. I think we're okay on time. But here's another example again of the exact same image. One has earrings in and one doesn't. And so you'll sometimes see these, and for the Sangat especially, I just preface that not to get confused when you see a picture of Guru Sahib with earrings in. Because it doesn't necessarily mean that they had them in. It's, like I said, it's expressing for themselves. But it never meant that Guru Sahib ever said wear earrings, for example. They've never explicitly wore earrings, and they've never said wear earrings. Even in history as well, it very, very barely comes up. And so what I would say is, just watch out for it. It's there, but I wouldn't be scared of it. I just take away from it. And so with Guru Arjan Dev Ji, you start to see culture forming. You start to see certain clothing look a lot more common. And you start to see that riches start coming up a lot more. And there's not many images of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, but they're often seen either with a long dari or a short dari. It just depends. And there's variation in how these first five Gurus looked, because there weren't any historical images of them. But as you get to Guru Hargobind Sahib, well, these are a few images of Guru Arjan Dev Ji that are modern day anyways. That's one of Guru Arjan Dev Ji Shaheedi that I made. But in the modern narrative, you can see it looks like a Siddhi the Star as well. And that didn't come up until after the Sikh Empire. So once again, a lot of our history has been kind of modernized, which I worry we lose some of the essence of historical clothing, historical Dastar styles, which were a lot different at that time. Now you get to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji. Now these historical images have all been referenced from a village in India called Bhai Rajpal village, which were custodians of a lot of the Guru Sahib relics. So you've got lots of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sarups, Dasam Granth Sarups. You've got so many images of Guru Sahib. You've got Guru Arjan Dev Ji's Rabab, for example. You've got so many artifacts that are held in Bhai Rajpal village. And most of those are Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji's historically accurate images. So these are where I've referenced them from, direct. And so you'd be quite shocked to see these images. You think, these don't look like a Guru. These look so different. Now, first of all, I want to say with the dariya, a lot of people say it looks trimmed. That's just the art style of the time. Guru Sahib actually looks like they've got a very thick dari here anyways. But the art style was very cartoon-like. There weren't very realistic images. So when you see the dariya, you have to just be wary that it doesn't necessarily mean that they're trimming the dari at all. Because there's images that look a lot more trimmed from people outside of Sikh Dharam. Then you see that as a comparison, you're like, yeah, that's open flowing. Guru Sahib never cut their case, obviously. And so the Dastar style is a very historically Puratan Dastar style. It was known as the Mughal Dastar because this is what emperors would wear. And Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji brought in this empirical nature to Sikhi to say that we're not standing down. After the Shaheedi of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji took arms, and they also took up a royal dressing, which you started to see forming in Guru Arjan Dev Ji's time, and then it became Parapat in Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji's time. And so we know for a fact these pictures are historical because they all look the same as well. Guru Sahib's always shown very, very tall. They were 7 foot tall, over 7 foot tall. Now, I know even Gyani Bhajinder Singh is quite tall as well, but even taller than that, which is gigantic to imagine. Guru Sahib was very, very muscularly built as well. And so there's over 30 historically accurate images of Guru Sahib that were gifted by Bidhi Chand Ji, who was very, very close to Guru Sahib for a lot of their Jeevan. And so you'll see this picture here, that is actually by Roop Chand. So the custodian of all these artifacts, his lineage carries on even now. And Guru Sahib was very, very close to him. And that's why going forth, even Guru Gobind Singh Ji kept in contact with Bhai Roop Chand and gave artifacts of the lineage. So you'll see, yeah, even then, there's a Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sarup, the Kartarpuri Bir, which is known as the Adi Granth Sahib, before it was finalized as Guru Granth Sahib Ji. At the front of that, you'll see this image here. That comes straight from the front of it, painted into the Granth itself. So that's to say, if Guru Sahib and the Guru Sikhs of the time would have seen that, then it must be such, else they wouldn't have it in there. And so this is how we differ from contemporary versus not, is consistent details. So we've seen so many very similar images of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji there. The pictures reflect the Sakya that we hear, that they were the most powerful warrior. They were on horseback, they were strong, they had shastra. You see all that in the images. But when you see something like this, where you see certain different jewelry, you see earrings in, it looks completely different to the images we've just seen. So you know for a fact that's unrelated. It's slightly to the side of it. So that's one thing to preface from this talk, is the difference that you can find, and not to be too concerned. So from this image here, who can point out which one is Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji from this image? Go on, Renji.
One on the left-hand side would be orange blue.
Yellowy orange, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, so straight away you can see Guru Sahib with this huge build. And that's beautiful that you've recognized that, because at the start of the talk, when we talked about the first 10 gurus and then we said who's who, we couldn't tell. We couldn't tell which one was Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji. That's the most beautiful thing that I feel we're missing at the moment in Sikhi art from people like Sobha Singh, even though he's done so much for us, is that we can't tell which guru is which. And so like you've just pointed out, you can notice which one is Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji from that image. But then these are the modern day depictions of Guru Sahib. So this one was done by Arch Punjab, who does a lot of amazing work. But you can see the difference from the historical images that we've just seen compared to these now, where this one could arguably be Guru Gobind Singh Ji as well. They both could. And so this is almost what I've been working on for the past few years, is because I've noticed this trend of the Guru Sahiban looking the same. How can we develop a relationship with each individual Guru? Because for me personally, anyways, with Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, as a I don't know if anyone else does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as a competitor of Jiu-Jitsu, which is a form of wrestling, I looked up to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, who was this masterful wrestler. Same as Guru Angad Dev Ji. You see these traits from each Guru Sahib and you can say, how can I put them into my lives? How can I look up to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji as this 7 foot tall, really strongly built individual that protected the Bant of the time? How can I inhibit certain traits and help those around me? You can see that from understanding an image of Guru Sahib as different from the other Guru Sahiba. And so these are modern day depictions that are historical as well. So there are artists that have come up now that are also sharing these points, that are saying that we've seen the historical images, we've looked into history, let's try and replicate that now. So you got a few from Jatinder Singh, Benji from California, and Bhagat Singh once again. So the work is being done to almost, I'd say, conserve our heritage, but also just to share our culture as it was, unfiltered, and not changed as well. And this is a recent image I've done of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, based on the historical pictures, where they've got Shastra around them, they're holding barge in their hand. It's just trying to show a bit of who Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji was and their characteristics. And here's another one with Bhai Bidhi Chand, and Guru Sahib had 2 horses. Reason being, Guru Sahib was quite heavy, they were quite hefty. The horses would get tired, so they would have 2 horses to swap between them, because Guru Sahib had such might. And so going on to Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji, this is actually a picture of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji with their grandson, Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji. And you could see the height difference straight away. And it's just beautiful to see that visually. Where I grew up, I didn't see any pictures like this. And I felt quite betrayed that I haven't seen pictures like this, because it feels like we've got the history there. Why is it not being shown? So Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji, these are also referenced from that era, was a very decorated Guru Sahib. They took off from Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, as their grandson anyways. For 31 years they lived for, so they were quite young. And in that way, youngsters like myself, we can look up to Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji as an individual that was quite young, but in that time had a beautiful shraddha for the art of gardening and Ayurveda. So medicine, gardening, these treatments, and creating over 60 gardens. So Guru Sahib was very decorated and had a beautiful love for nature, which you don't see often with a lot of people nowadays in general. They don't have that, they're quite closed to that side of them, of being able to express love through gardening. I love gardening myself, and looking up to Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji, who is someone that we should look up to above anyone else, to have traits that we can look up to and take into our own lives. That's the important thing. And so, as you can see, there's many different depictions of Guru Sahib holding a flower, for that reason that they shared that. But even though they had that side of compassion, that doesn't mean that they were different from Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji. As they say, all their jot were one. And they all had the same traits, but they had their own attributes as well, that we could take from each Guru Sahib. And so they still had a standing army of over 7,000 horsemen, even though their sabha was nature and decoration. And so these are a few images from the historical images that I've made of Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji. This is reflecting their nature of being one with nature and collecting herbs and medicines that even saved Mughal emperors of the time. I won't go into the Sakhi, it'll be a bit long, but Guru Sahib provided for all in that way. And that's why we can look at Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji as someone, as the 7th Guru that had that attribute of gardening. And once again, having a distinct attribute that we can look up to, instead of just seeing all the Gurus as very simple images. So then we go on to Guru Har Krishna Sahib Ji, who hasn't got any historical, I'm not sure, there might be one, but it might be just after Guru Sahib's time. Because this was a time where the lineage of Guruship started to, there's so many Sakhi about how the Guruship started swaying, people started acting as the Guru. This led on to Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji's time as well. But that led to a lot of discrepancy of who the next Guru was, because the Sangat started splitting. And here you can see, once again, it's the exact same image, but by 3 different artists, 3 different styles. And so what I wanted to show here is sometimes you'll see a controversial image of Guru Sahib spreading around the internet, and people will think this is wrong, our history is wrong, what we believe is wrong, we shouldn't be doing any of this. But it's to say that these are just perspectives from different artists. Doesn't necessarily mean that Guru Sahib has signed off to say this is such. I could make an image, a Galt image. Doesn't mean any of my images should be associated as Guru Sahib. It's just my own shraddha of Guru Sahib. So it's for you to believe or not to believe. It's up to you. But it's not to be influenced by these pictures to say that, oh, Guru Sahib did this because it's shown in a picture. It's not about that. It's what has Guru Sahib written in Gurbani, that's above all else. And so this is the nearest to contemporary picture of Guru Har Krishna Sahib Ji, the one on the left. And then after that, this is more Maharaj Ranjit Singh's time, where Guru Har Krishna Sahib Ji was drawn a bit more modernly. but it's to still show that royalty, that colour, the difference that they had in colour, and just the smile they have is just beautiful, the way they've made it. But then let's contrast that to the Guru Harkrishna Sahib Ji pictures of today. And I think things get quite unfortunate, unfortunately, with Guru Harkrishna Sahib Ji, because they're often shown as this very eyebrows done, and it doesn't look right, personally. If people connect to it, that's fine. For me personally, I've seen images that look similar to Hindu mat, in terms of like you should be bowing down to these images. That's what they look like, which is wrong, I feel anyways, personally, because these pictures are reminders and things to guide us, and never something to bow down to or pray to. And so these images, the middle one is nice because it does have a bit of historical reference to like the koti that they're wearing, the jacket that they're wearing. But in most cases, Guru Harkrishna Sahib Ji, the modern images anyways, they haven't really got a connection to me personally. And I feel that their own Jeevani isn't reflected in those pictures, because they're just shown as this figure that you look up to and bow down to, rather than anything beneficial for the viewer, to say, how can I live my life the way Guru Harkrishna Sahib Ji did, where they stopped even being so young, and they looked after so many people with smallpox, and they did it tirelessly for many hours, for many days. How can we look up to these Santhiya, and how can we reflect them in imagery? And that's why portraiture it's a fine line. This is one I've made of Guru Harkrishna Sahib Ji. I haven't made many, I'll be honest with you, surrounding Guru Harkrishna Sahib Ji, but this is where what I've shown here is they're washing clothing. And this is in a hospital area where people are being affected by smallpox. And it's to kind of showcase that Guru Sahib did the seva, they did it unwaveringly. And yeah, they just kept going. And Bhagat Singh, once again, does really nice portraits, which kind of shows that a bit more of a realistic look at Guru Sahib, rather than it being this thing you bow down to. It's almost like you're standing there with Guru Sahib. I think that's what I try and push out with art, is the experience of seeing your Guru in front of you through each Guru Sahib. And now we go into Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, which actually has Sakya in Suraj Prakash to do with their portraiture. And only Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji have those sort of Sakya. So this is the Taka portrait. So Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, which we've been doing quite a lot of itihas on, they travelled to the Bengal region. They travelled all over India, to a lot of places Guru Nanak Dev Ji travelled to. And they travelled to a region in Bengal. And pre-colonial texts actually state that Guru Sahib actually travelled with a king of the time, Raja Ram Singh. And this was actually from the Mughal courts. Raja Ram Singh was there. And Guru Sahib has written in a Hukamnama, which I haven't put in this presentation. Silly me, I forgot. But Guru Sahib has written that I'm going with Raja Ram Singh to establish peace in Bengal, this area in Bengal, between two fighting forces. So Guru Sahib didn't just go out to do prachar, they also stopped fights, stopped wars. And I have historical references for that as well. And so, as Guru Sahib was there, meeting with the Sangat, an elderly woman grabbed onto their charan and said, please, let me commission an artwork of you, because I can't bear to lose sight of you, to lose your darshan. And so Guru Sahib said, okay. And they sat and a painter started painting them. But as they carried on painting, the painter got stuck. He said, I can't do the face. You're too beautiful in front of me. I just can't do it. Please, you take the brush and you paint it. And so Guru Sahib then complied. They got up and they sat with the painter and painted the face themselves. And it is this exact image that's referenced. And I personally believe that's Sakhi myself, because as an artist, when I look at, I know it's quite far for some of you, when I look at the way the hands and feet are drawn, using a different texture, using a certain color, and then I look at the face, it's a completely different color, completely different texture, as if an individual different to the artist has painted the face. So I truly believe this Sakya that Guru Sahib painted their own face, which I find absolutely beautiful. And this was actually the first image that got me into this I'll call it a rabbit hole even, looking into all of these historical images of Guru Sahib. It's a funny story I'll quickly go into, that my Dadaji actually wanted me to recreate an image of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji that we had on our stairway, the old Sobha Singh image that we've probably seen. And I said, okay, that's fine. And then I thought, let me get some reference, because as an artist I get reference. Try and get as many different clothing reference and stuff like that to make a really good image. First result of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji was this image, and I thought, that's Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji. The style looks a bit different, the clothing looks a bit different. What's this all about? And this is many people's first reactions when you see an image like this. And then I looked into it further and I was thinking, where is this in Gurdwara? Where is this anywhere actually? And I think now in the past 5 or so years since I've really joined this space as well, we've seen a resurgence in these images, where people are actually realizing that, wait, we should be putting these images out a bit more. They show each Guru Sahib and their attributes. I think I'm going on with the same point again. But that's to say that I do personally believe that that is a true picture of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji. Same with Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji. And so this begs the question now, a lot of people ask, did Sobha Singh draw his own face on Guru Sahiba? This is something that I've heard a lot, and I have to be careful saying this, but I've had a lot of slack myself for this. People have assumed sometimes that, oh, you've drawn your own face there, haven't you? A bit like Sobha Singh does. And it hurts me, because how could I ever do that? And I feel very bad for Sobha Singh as a person to get these sort of claims. Because as an artist, what I can say is, through my practice, I've found that your likeness almost naturally comes into what you create. Your character comes into what you create. Not to say that I've ever seen my face and drawn my face, you know, but it's just what comes internally. Sometimes it can look a bit similar because your own character is going into the art. That is never to say, so I would never accuse Sobha Singh of copying his own face onto Guru Sahib, because who would do such a thing? If they've got such shraddha for Guru Sahib that they're painting them, why would they go out and then copy their own face? That's a bit too proud. You know, I wouldn't ever endorse that. I would never do that. Because that shraddha comes from internally. It can never come from an external face. So I would never reference Guru Sahib from someone else. I'd never reference it from myself either. It just comes from internal. And through practice of drawing faces, I don't need you get to a certain point as an artist where you don't need that reference. And so whatever comes out, I'll let it be. And that's to say that I don't believe that Sobha Singh did reference himself in his images, because they don't have a complete likeness. They might have little features and slight, ooh, that looks a bit like him, but that's his character coming through the art. If you take that away, then you forget who Sobha Singh is and his contribution to Sikhi. So yeah, moving on. So this is another historical picture of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, found, historically it said it was at Gwalior Fort, so when Guru Sahib was in prison. But some references say otherwise. So all I'll say is that was what has been said. The picture is there though, and it is quite historical. It's possibly contemporary or near contemporary to the time. This one in particular, with the tilak and the earrings, this is Maharaj Ranjit Singh's time. And a lot of people will often say, I see it a lot, that this is a contemporary, but it is not. Because where it's held in India, it's not. And they've said it themselves there. So you'll see misinformation like that, that will guide the Sangat in a wrong way. Once again, so this is an image as well, tilak, earrings. This isn't contemporary, this is something from the Sikh Empire time. Because culture was different then. These weren't Gursikh artists making these were people from different dharams showing their love for Guru Sahib. So they showed him in this way, never to say that Guru Sahib wore earrings. We've just seen that picture, the contemporary picture of Guru Sahib. They didn't have that. So I'm kind of just prefacing here that you need to be careful what you see online and not to judge it straight away as, oh, Guru Sahib wore them or Guru Sahib didn't wear them. I can personally believe and say that I don't believe they wore them. There's images there, but you just need to look at where they were made and how they were made and why they were made as well. Because then there's a lot of debates and stuff that can happen, accusations. And it's to say that these images have existed and will always exist. We can't just get rid of them. But to look deeper and say that it wasn't made out of trying to shift Sikhi to a different direction or shift culture, it's to say that was their own personal artwork that was coming out. And if we try and censor artwork, we're playing a dangerous game of how culture can be going forth in Sikhi. Obviously there's a line. There's a line of Gurmat, which makes sense, which is fine. But that internal expression should be true for everyone. And so yeah, from the images that we just saw, these are the modern day depictions of Guru Sahib, which this one in particular is based on Guru Sahib when they were sitting in Paura Sahib. They were sitting and doing bhakti for over 27 years, which is fine, because Guru Sahib may have wore very simple clothing at the time just because they were by themselves. But then that's reflected in every single modern day depiction we see of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji. So we always see them in these simple kapre, not in these beautiful robes that we've just seen. You know, these beautiful adornments. That's the issue that I have, and that's what we see in every single image that I've been showing. Like even in the Jai Sahibzade film, you can see where they've taken reference for Guru Sahib. And so that was my depiction. That was the first real Sikhi art that I made in this space through historical research as well. So it's the exact same image. You can see the before and after. But what I've done is I've seen the references and I made something a bit more to the likeness of Guru Sahib to bring back what they were wearing. And then on the right here, a few projects that we've done is looking through Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib's Itihas. So one Sakhi I'll quickly share is that Guru Sahib went through a lot of turmoil after becoming the Guru Sahib, after becoming Parapat. They had Tirmal, who was Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji's brother, oppose Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji and say, no, I'm the Guru, I'm the true Guru. And there were so many instances where they would attack Guru Sahib, where they would shoot Guru Sahib as well, but the bullets would miss Guru Sahib. And this is one instance where a few of Tirmal's men came and actually attacked Guru Sahib's where they were staying, their dera, and robbed their belongings and shot at Guru Sahib. The bullet did scrape away and missed, but it was the fact that these things happened in history. We don't hear about them, we don't see them in art. And I feel that it's so much gatha that even I've missed growing up because I've just been bored and I wasn't listening. But I feel like if you see an image first, it'd almost initiate youngsters to say, oh, I want to hear more about that, that looks amazing. And then they'll look into it more. So art is very important in just bringing a bit of intrigue. As a culture, we need art as well. Now we go to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Now Guru Gobind Singh Ji is very interesting. There's pictures of Guru Gobind Singh Ji as a very young child and a teenager as well. And these are held at Bhai Rajpal village in India once again. So as you can see here, you've got Puratan Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sarups, Pothi Sahiban, you've got Hukamname from the Guru Sahiban as well. And that picture of Guru Gobind Rai Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji before, when they were younger, is held there. So it's not to say that it's not there, which a lot of people say. But you can see the style is different, the clothing is different. The way they do the style, their hair, it looks a bit different. But to say that we can look back in time and see these images, and we haven't seen them in the modern day because they might look a bit odd. I feel it's important to share these openly and explain openly what they are as well. So like this picture of Guru Gobind Singh Ji here, very young, has jewels on, has earrings on. I don't believe they wore earrings. I believe they put these images in because these images wouldn't be held for generations and Guru Sahib wouldn't have accepted it if any other way. And that's something to question. Not to question, sorry, but to be open about and think maybe Guru Sahib didn't wear them, but through the shard of the painter that came out, that they kept the image. But not to say that Guru Sahib saying you can wear them or anything like that, because it's written many times in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, in Dasambani as well, and in the Retnamit saying don't pierce your ears. It goes into a lot of detail. But yeah, then you've got so these are all historical images of Guru Gobind Singh Ji that were made in front of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. That's the point I'm trying to make. And so for the first 5 Guru Sahiba, just to preface, those images didn't exist. They've never been historically referenced images of the first 5 Gurus. But as you go from Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji onwards, they have been one of each at least. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji's got about 2 or 3 as an adult as well. You can see their shastra. You can see the tir that they've got in their hand. They've got a beautiful qatar, they've got beautiful robes. It's this entrance of true empirical nature with Guru Gobind Singh Ji once again. And you'll see a lot of images without earrings. And so that's why I believe they didn't wear them, because some do, some don't. Images, depending on the art, location and their culture. Not to say they ever wore them. So I'm saying that again and again. This is a Puratan depiction of Guru Gobind Singh Ji with Bhai Mani Singh Ji. They're Likhari, so they would write down the Bani that Guru Sahib was, the Gurbani that Guru Sahib was ucharing. And so Guru Sahib's wearing blue here. It's a beautiful image. And you'll notice consistency in the way their kapre look. This is one thing that I found when researching, because it's distincting what's been made in front of Guru Sahib, contemporary, and what's been made out of Sharda for Guru Sahib, away from them. And I've noticed with the kapre style, so they've got certain, I can't explain, the way they've created, the style that the kapre are is consistent in the pictures that are historical. And this is another picture that has actually very recently been discovered by me anyways. It's in the Tour collection. So the Vinder Singh Tour, who did the Maharaj Ranjit Singh exhibition at the Wallace collection, he owns this image of Guru Gobind Singh Ji with a tal, with a shield that actually has historical accuracy. We have that shield. And Baba Ajit Singh Ji potentially sitting in the back with the Amrit Sanchar khanda that they used in the Amrit Sanchar. So when you see artifacts that are in these images, it's almost like you're looking back in time. And I know these images aren't very realistic, they're quite two-dimensional and quite simplified, but the fact that we can look back in time versus sticking to these modern images of very simplified, plain Guru Sahib, it's like that brings so much colour into Sikhi as a culture as well as a practice and a religion and a dharam. And so there's pictures of Guru Sahib going to war as well with their massive forge, you know, and it's to see these and think, imagine if we showed our kids this, the youth, how inspired would they be if they saw imagery like this in their Gurdwara? And even in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Swaroops and Dasam Granth Ji Swaroops, you'll see illustrated images of Guru Gobind Singh Ji in the fronts of those as well. In quite a few of them actually. I didn't have many of them. This is an interesting picture that I absolutely love because I know it excites me because it's historical. It feels to me historical because there's only 3 Sahibs either here. And historically this is known as a contemporary because the 4th Sahibzada, Baba Fateh Singh Ji, hadn't actually been born yet. And that's actually been written in the, I wouldn't call it Uttanika, but the history behind it, this image. And so it's a very blurry image, but you're zooming into how did the Gursikhs of the time look? What did their Bani look like? What did their Kamrika say look like? Their Shastar as well. There's so many beautiful little details of how they tied their dastara, what colours they would have wore. I know it's black and white image, but the other images. But just once again, you're going back in time and looking at a glimpse of what Guru Sahib actually could have been like. And it brings you into a space where, imagine if you're sitting with Guru Sahib, you know? Is it going to look like these modern day depictions? Because, for example, with the Sobha Singh picture that we've all seen that one. But, and I love it, it's a beautiful picture and as a painting it's beautiful, but the kapre, right, they're very modernistic. The dastar as well. As someone who ties a dastar, I question how that dastar has been tied from an artist's perspective, and does it, can that be seen as the style of the time from those historical images? So it's really looking back and thinking, how have they tied the dastar? And secondly, if you look back at the Puratan images that we've just shown, I've just shown and looked through, they don't look the same. And so even though I respect these artists so much, and I don't want to put them down on camera as well, it's just to say that I'm pushing for the historical accuracy to come out a lot more, but art to come out a lot more as well from everyone. So these are a few that I've tried to do. I tried to deliver that message of historical accuracy, where here all the Shastra have been referenced as Guru Gobind Singh Ji's. So Guru Gobind Singh Ji actually had a serrated khanda like that. I've got the book for reference if anyone wants to come to me afterwards. And it's got writing in Farsi on the bottom of it, giving glory to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Just imagine how sharp there's an image of it, it's sharp like anything. Beautifully looked after. And And so they had loads of, they had guitars, they had an axe with them, they had so much. The Mala Shastra as well, they had a beautiful Kalgi. So all these references that you can build from Dere in India, where they keep these artifacts, to references in Granths as well, you can really start to build an image. Now, I'm only just starting out as well. I personally feel I could probably showcase a bit more of Guru Gobind Singh Ji and their subha, their attitude, attributes, not attitude. And for example, this is an image I'm working on at the moment of Guru Gobind Singh Ji and their Anandpuri Darbar. So where they had poets like Bhai Nandlal Ji, they had poets from all over India come. And this was the point where the Khajana of the Khalsa Panth really flourished. And they had weaponry that even surpassed Maharaja Ranjit Singh's time, which shocked me actually, because I've been to, for example, the Wallace collection. I've seen Maharaja Ranjit Singh's beautiful gold inlaid shastar and guns as well, muskets. To think that Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Khalsa had better weaponry then, it's shocking, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And so this image in particular, what I'm trying to show is that the real range that Guru Gobind Singh Ji had as well. You build a picture in everyone, youngsters and adults, you build a picture in their mind of who their Guru is, visually, out of just Gatha. Gatha is another way. There's different ways, but I feel like art is so important that it gives you a visual insight. It's not perfect. I'm never saying that my work ever reflects what it was like to be there, but the intention is to attempt it. And so how long does this talk normally go for, by the way? 7:30, 8 o'clock?
Yeah, 8 max.
Tika, that's fine. So then we got to the Sikh Empire. And so we went from this 2D style, where they're showing these riches, and they get even more richer and richer in terms of, for example, Maharaja Ranjit Singh's court is just full of riches. They've got these beautiful robes, they've got these silk fabrics and shastra that are plated in gold. They were the richest in the Sikh Empire. It really flourished in this time. So in the 1820s, 1830s period, where things really started to pick up, where textiles was massive in the Sikh Empire. The British pound, I said at the start of the talk, I'll say it once again just for impact to know. The British pound was 13 pounds to 1 rupee in Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Lahore, in their empire. And so this is a time where the arts flourished as well. I haven't put too much in here, but the artifacts, the arts, the likhai, they had gold inlaid Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sarups. It was beautiful. We've still got these artifacts as well, by the way. And so you had pictures then being made and commissioned in the Gurdwara. So you had like Baba Atal Rai Gurdwara, where you had these frescoes made. Unfortunately, a lot of these frescoes have been demolished or painted over now, which is another point of discussion as well, that you're getting rid of historical culture. What does that leave us with? If we've got no history to back us up, what are the kids going to be looking up to if we've got no visual history? Because certain things might be seen as galt or wrong. And so this is actually Banda Singh Bahadur fighting in battle. And this image in particular was made in Maharaja Ranjit Singh's time. So it really builds a picture that they're starting to tell stories visually a lot more. And so you still have that very similar art style to the times of the Gurus, where they had this kind of flat 2D simplified look, but they're starting to have a bit more detail and depth into them now. So here's a picture of Akali Baba Phula Singh with all their shastra and adornments, and next to them Maharaja Ranjit Singh himself. And as you can see, the detailing starts to improve. The sharda for each picture starts to improve because the wealth starts to improve. But then comes in European and British and Western influence. Now, Italian artist August Schoft is a really big inspiration of mine. So he came all the way from, he came from Italy, as I said, in the early 1800s. And he was fascinated by the Sikh Empire and Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And so he actually stayed in Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Darbar for a little while. Now I went to a talk at the Wallace collection last year where they did the Maharaja Ranjit Singh exhibition. And there was a lovely gentleman there who's looked into this very, very deeply. And he's got a book on this as well, that August Shoft would travel around India painting different things, but he was drawn in by the Sikh Empire above all else. So he spent significant amount of years after capturing certain aspects of the Sikh Empire. And one of them was Maharaj Ranjit Singh sitting beside Harmandir Sahib, well, in Harmandir Sahib. And I haven't got the full image here because it wasn't clear enough and there was just screenshots. But you can really see the culture difference here. We can see that Akali Nihang Singh's there, full of Shastra and full of army. You can see culture being shown unfiltered. Now, in images like this, Sharda is very little because he's just painting what he can see. And so in that way, we can reference what we're looking at a lot more. And so you can see the architecture, how it was at the time. You see how Harmandir Sahib was. And it's amazing that they've actually got a covering over the walkway, which they do have now. But for a little time in the early 1900s, they didn't have that covering. So a lot of people assumed that they never had it before this. But by this image, you can tell it's like a picture into the past, you know? And so also the visual storytelling of this image is something that I'm inspired by, because so much is happening. Your Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sarup and Dasam Granth Sahib Ji Sarup, both being read, Maharaj Ranjit Singh being sat there as well, but still below Guru Sahib. So that's one thing to take in consideration as well. And so you see riches, and you see like Maharaja Dalip Singh, Maharaja Sher Singh as well, full of these Shastra. An interesting point of discussion is, not all these jewelries actually existed. Depends. So there's a story, I didn't put it in here, but there was a Mughal emperor of the time. Just at the end of the Mughal Empire, he was broke, he had no money. He actually charged August Shoft to paint him. He goes, I'm going to charge you to paint me. He was like, no, I'm meant to charge you. And he goes, make sure you put loads of jewels on me to show that I'm rich, so I can show to people I'm rich. So he added the jewels on afterwards. So that's to say, not to say that the Sikh Empire wasn't flourishing, but it's to still say that things were added afterwards. Things were added in the artworks. So there's discussion on jewelry and earrings and stuff like that. Once again, there's another reference for the fact that it was added as an artistic impression rather than actually being real. So once again, it's just putting into question when people have certain doubts about if they see a picture of Guru Sahib with earrings in or jewelry on, why is that? And it's just being open to the fact that it could just be artistic expression. And once again, you've got these really bustling scenes. This is the positive side of Western influence on Sikh art, is how busy this scene is. Now, so much is going on in this scene. I'll have to have an hour to explain it to you. But the fall of the Sikh Empire is portrayed in this one image. I'll go into a bit of depth. You can see so much going on. That this is in Maharaj Ranjit Singh's Lahore Darbar, by the way, which is the same Darbar as this image here. It's the same place, but just a very, very realistic depiction. And here what you're seeing is, you're seeing No Nihal Singh, you're seeing the Dogra brothers, you're seeing these British influences as well, all with their own facial expressions, all looking at certain individuals that they're ready, that in history they actually murdered. So it's telling a story in this image. This is something the West does really well with art, in terms of storytelling through just a plain picture. You can tell a whole Sakhi in just one still frame. I think that's something that I'm really inspired by. That if I can bring Sikh history, Sikh itihas, these historical artifacts, these historical paintings that have been referenced as well, take them and then build a very historic, build a visual story around it, I can do that through expressing that. And I feel that can help people in building a bigger picture of the Sikh Empire. So this is an image I did of Maharaj Ranjit Singh and his Sikh Empire at its peak. So this is around the 1838, 1839, because it peaked and then it troughed very quickly. But this is where textiles were really, really big. You had gold, you had weaponry, really expensive weaponry. Everyone was dressed royally. All of the people in the area were. And this wasn't just a Sikh empire in terms of just being Sikh there. Hindus and Muslims, they all lived as one in the area. It was Ekta. Maharaj Ranjit Singh had this message of oneness to the world. And his empire ran off that, and that's why it succeeded as it was, because it was under Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message of one. So he had mosques made, had mandirs made. He had education centres for Hindus and Muslims to live their best selves and to follow their dharam in a way that's best. And still keeping that oneness and that ekta. And this begs the question of, in this day and age, we struggle to have that ekta. Every dharam has struggles to have that ekta. How can we, even if it's not through art, but it's through any sort of expression, how can we start to reinvigorate that ekta? So that in the next few generations, we can reinvigorate this sort of empire. Maybe it's not an empire. Maybe it's just the way we're spreading it to the world. To say that this is the way to lead. And then people will start looking to us as a Khalsa Panth to say, these people know what they're doing. Let's reach out to them. So I'm going off topic there, but for this image anyways, that's what it's showing here. So every single soldier here, I've actually historically referenced from Devinder Singh Toor, who ran the Wallace collection. I actually sat with him and we went through many different references to create such an image so that every single individual has their own story to tell. So you got Akali Baba Fulla Singh standing on horseback. You've got, what's his name now? The leader of the army, the actual general, Jean-Francois Allard, that's his name. So he was from Napoleon's army, from France. The French Empire was massive at that time. So for the general of that army to come down and train Maharaj Ranjit Singh's army in ways that would help them fight off against the British, they were the strongest force of all of India, possibly even the world. They fought against the British so much. It's only the fact that the empire itself crumbled from the top down that the army failed. But in terms of, at that point, they were the strongest in the world in every single way, I believe. And so I can go into everyone there, but there's so many different references, and they're not just Sikh soldiers either, they are Hindu and Muslim soldiers in there. They're all fighting for that message of oneness. And that's why the empire did succeed for so long. And so, yeah, with British influence, you get a lot more westernized clothing. These are Eastern clothing. So these are known as Angrakha, or the Persian Jamma as well. That's what they're called. This is what you'll often see Guru Sahib wearing, because they're royal kapre. And they're quite long, they look a bit like dresses. They're like a really long bana that goes all the way down to the ankles. But what it's showing is that Guru Sahib inhibited that royalty. They had that royalty, they lived it. And so did the Sikhs as well, all the way up to Maharaj Ranjit Singh's empire. But as the British started to take over, you see these things fade away very quickly, where trousers and tops become norm, like me, where these things start pushing forward a lot more. Kurta pajame, these simplified ways of dressing. So you lose this almost regal way of dressing, this royal way of dressing. The Mughal dastar as well, the Puratan style of the Sikhs, before the Damalla came in, is nowhere to be found today. But it's a beautiful way that the Guru Sahib and the Sikhs also tied their dastar. And obviously we've got the Damalla now. We had the Siddhi dastar as well come up in Maharaj Ranjit Singh's time. And then simplified in the British and the African style that we see as well. Not to say that we've strayed away from our history. We are still very much invigorated in it. You see with so many different panths and sampradaya that they're holding up to their values of keeping it historically accurate. So, nearly done. The importance of creative expression. So yeah, it is expressing one's own relationship with Sikhi, their own path. How are they seeing Sikhi from their own eyes? How can they paint that? How can they write about that? It's not just art, it's writing, it's calligraphy as well. There's so many different avenues. It's just being creative and being true with what are you experiencing with your journey of Sikhi. How can you then express it outwards and share with others if you wanted to anyways. I feel that's very important, because sometimes Sikhi in terms of as a practice can be seen as very just bullet points, do this. And we lack that experience. And growing up anyways, I felt that personally. And I found that with art, it helped me articulate what I was feeling with Sikhi. And it helped me develop on my path further, personally anyways. So how many more people can be positively impacted by simply just having the space to paint Sikhi, to share their own expression of Sikhi, unfiltered to themselves, true to them. So one thing I've noticed is being true to yourself is very important on this path of Sikhi, and developing Sikhi true to you is very important. And that's why through art I found that I've learned so much more about Guru Sahiban and their Sakhiyan, because I've found that art works for me, and through expressing what I like, what I'm learning by painting or drawing it, it's increased the pyar and the shar that I've had for Sikhi and Guru Sahiban. It's wanted me to continue it forward as well. And so we're out of this survival phase now, majority of us are, where Maharaj di Kirpa now, a lot of us are settled. For example, I've settled in the UK, our families have settled here now. I feel that now, where we've got a lot of Gurudwara now as well, how can we start bringing back that culture, that creative expression from an art way, an art perspective? Does that mean painting our Gurudwara, with loads of floral patterns? I don't know, but it's asking the question of, with this next generation, we're settled, we're not trying to survive with, working 2 full-timers, this, that and the other. How are we, going forth? And so a bit about me, there's me. Very quickly, a bit about me as an artist anyways. I studied, after leaving school, I wanted to go into digital art because I found that as a medium I'm not a very good painter. You give me a paintbrush, I can't paint a wall. I'll make a big mess of it. But I'm very good at drawing, illustrating and colouring. So I found that digital art was very good because you got an erase drawer on digital art. You can press Control Z. You can get rid of things easier. And so a bit about what I've used and stuff like that is I've got an iPad, which I draw on this most of the time. I've also got a tablet as well. I just got it off Amazon, I'll be honest with you, but any tablet that connects to a computer works. I use Photoshop and Procreate, which is an app on iPad. So I use those things interchangeably, depending on the size of the image, the artwork that I've created. And studied using digital online courses. And so I really looked into, art school and stuff like that. It might work, but for me, I found that online stuff was a bit more easier to access, and budget-wise, it was a bit better as well. And now, even though I've been doing digital art for 5+ years, recently there's been a whole AI generation thing, which was challenging at first because I felt that putting so many hours into this practice, now people are able to just type something up and generate something. But I've now overcome that challenge by saying that even though AI generation's fine for, say, prachar and stuff like that, I know my friend's watching, that's why. It's fine in that way. In terms of actually creating something from internal, that can never be replicated by AI. It's something that's true to every individual. And so that's unaffected. And your own creation, if that's come from AI, you do you. But I personally believe your own creation should come completely unfiltered from you. And that's what should be coming out to the world. Anything else, it's not you. It's not genuinely you. And it won't last too long, because you're not being your genuine self, you lose yourself. So that's it. That's the talk. I really hope you enjoyed that. Bulchuk Maaf, I probably made so many mistakes. I have made so many mistakes. I kept hearing myself. But thank you all for coming. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I do have artworks for sale if anyone is interested. I can come up over afterwards and just have a look at them if you want to. But thank you all so much for coming. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you, bro.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you, Baji, for travelling down and doing a talk for us today. Next week we have Bhai Rajpal Singh doing a talk on Gurmat Maryada. So सारे नु बेनती है उधर भी आयो जी. And we have समोसे and langar today जी. So सारे शक्के जाओ जी. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा.